More to come here on the College Football Countdown Show presented by Nissan. Mike Gundy, that's him in his playing days. A lot of records he said have been broken because he's now calling the plays. So we'll break down his team and what's going on. And he's also a very fine intermediate hurdler.
Yes, he is.
It might even be better than he is a quarterback. And now we welcome former quarterback of the Oklahoma State Cowboys and now head coach of the team. Big win, 5th in the country, coming off the win over Texas A&M last weekend. You're going to get a look at Griffin. You've seen him before. You're going to get another look at him. Every week in the Big 12, you're getting a look at quarterbacks. Why are you not studying quarterbacks right now? Why are you here? Shouldn't you be studying up on these things, KU or whoever else you got going?
Well, I needed to get out of the South and up here in the Northeast and spend some time with you guys, get away for a little bit. But if you watch Robert Griffin enough, it makes you not want to watch much more tape.
But it is a challenge, right? I mean, every week you've got some guy in there. How do you address that with Bill Young in your group?
Well, it's week to week. You know, we had one last week that was very good, and we handled him in the second half. But a guy like Griffin, he's an extra man on the field because you got to have one in the box to stop the run, and then he's throwing it down the field very well.
Coach, I want to ask you about your quarterback. Last year broke virtually every school record throwing the football. This year early, a little bit inconsistent, had thrown 6 interceptions heading into your game against Texas A&M. He threw it 60 times against the Aggies, no picks. How are you able to coach him up into that performance?
Well, he really settled in and played very well, especially in the second half. We started on the 9 and the 11 in the first half and moved the ball very well, but he made good decisions. I counted 3 or 4 times where he had a chance to make a poor decision when I watched the tape, and he made good decisions. He either threw the ball away or he just went a different direction with it, and so it was very important playing on the road.
Good question.
So we touched on those guys. You know, you got Landry Jones still coming. Well, why don't we look at the schedule? We'll see all the nightmares that the guys are going to keep you up here as you get through the last couple
You're doing this before I eat lunch.
Months of the season.
That's right.
You got James Franklin to worry about there on the 22nd. At least you get him at home. Texas Tech, that's just that group. They're just going to fling it everywhere. So you're going to have to guard him 75 times. And now I know you can't look ahead, but if you see the one in red, that's usually when they play the Big 12 championship game on December 3rd. But that's no longer. So there's a chance that little number there against number 2. You want to give us an early take on that game?
Well, no. I'm worried about Kansas. I just saw where Kansas had already scored 28 or something points early in the third quarter. But there's some really good players in our league, and we're looking forward to it. We've got to get ready for Kansas next week.
Great team playing tonight that used to be in the Big 12 Conference. That's Nebraska. You're familiar with them, having played them last year. Lost a game 51-41. Taylor Martinez, a lot of people view as a running quarterback. He threw 5 touchdown passes against you guys last year in Stillwater. When you watch him, what are the biggest problems defending a player like that?
Well, the challenge for Wisconsin is going to be sound on defense versus the option, the read zone and the ability that he has to pitch it. Mm-hmm. The corners and safeties really have to be in the right spot. And if they tackle well and they gather up next to the ball, then that's when he's going to throw it over the top, and that's what he did to us last year. They ran the ball so effective, they were able to get the safeties to bite and throw the ball over the top. You know, and then on the flip side, you know, you've got Nebraska with Pelini.
Yeah.
And now he's got a challenge with their quarterback, Russell. You know, he's done a great job, and so it'll be interesting to see how they handle that power game and try to play man on the perimeter. That's what they did to us last year.
Well, you mentioned that Nebraska defense facing Russell Wilson. I think there's such a challenge in this game for this Nebraska defense because not only do they have to worry about Monty Ball and James White running the football, they got to worry about Russell Wilson, the nation's second most efficient passer, throwing the football. And Nebraska defensively this year, very uncharacteristically, has given up a lot of big plays in the passing game. And I think Wisconsin will attack them tonight, running the football to set up big play action passing opportunities as this game goes on. And when you're running the football well, you can influence safeties. In this example against Washington, you see the safeties on the back end. Washington going to go play action. Both safeties drive downfield hard. And when you get them keying on the running game, that opens up a big area in the back end to throw the football. On this play, they got Jermaine Kearse up top running a double move wide open for the easy touchdown. Now, Washington threw 4 touchdowns against the Black Shirts. When you look at Wisconsin's offense, they got to have a lot of ability on the outside of the field with Nick Toon, Jared Abbrederis, 2 guys that can hurt you on the back end. I think tight end Jacob Pedersen, another guy that has to have a big game in this as well. I think good news for Nebraska, their best defensive player, Jared Crick, defensive tackle, missed last week's game against Wyoming with a head injury. He's going to go tonight. He's got to have a big game, both penetrating against the run and getting pressure on Russell Wilson. Easier said than done. Wisconsin's offense averages 322 pounds per person up front.
And this could be a game that gets done in like an hour and 20 minutes. Because if they run it like they want to run it, we'll be filling right up here to your late local news, that's for sure. And the program is very similar, not just the colors, but you take Nebraska, which birthed Barry Alvarez, who put his system in place in Wisconsin, and then he left that to Brett Bielema, head coach now of the Badgers, and he's with Tommy Rinaldi.
Brett, as you prepare for conference play and historic matchup, what is the one thing you need to control that Nebraska does?
We have to control ourselves, and by that, just stick to the plan. Offense, defense, special team. We've laid out the plan during the course of the week, and on Saturday, it's about how the players play that plan, and I think there's a good mind for it.
How do you contain Taylor Martinez?
I wish I knew the answer to that. I mean, he's a kid that is extremely gifted with his feet, has been able to produce really in all three phases, the option game, the quarterback run game, and then just kind of the ones that he creates on his own. So it's going to be a difficult task, but I know we have guys up front that have talked about having the edges, keeping the ball contained, and hopefully making good tackles.
Russell Wilson has added another dimension to the Wisconsin offense. He has opened up their passing game downfield. Wilson posting some blistering numbers on throws of at least 15 yards, completing 64% of those throws. Not a single interception. That's what the coaches like to hear. Well, and quarterbacks over here. That is a big boost up front where Wisconsin was, or where he was last year at NC State. He's new to the Badgers, obviously, 1 year, but just having a guy with that kind of experience to come in and take over your program, even if it's for a year.
Well, no question, and he's had so much experience in big games.
Yeah.
And the opportunity for him to go out there and get a feel for what their offense is trying to accomplish, which now, as I watched a little bit of their games, he's much more polished in that system than he was, and they're always going to run the ball downhill, but now you have to defend him in the naked and the boot game and his ability to throw the ball effectively down the field.
I think that's the key. I think he's brought this added dimension to this Badgers offense with his ability to make plays with his legs when things break down on critical downs, on third down, in the red zone. He's been very accurate throwing the football deep downfield as well. He's completing 64% of his passes when it's 15 or more yards downfield, and I think that's a beneficiary of them being able to run the football and force 8 and 9 defenders up close to the box. If you could give an award for transfer of the year so far through 4 games, it's Russell Wilson at Wisconsin.
Yeah, certainly a fine player in a game, prime time. You don't want to miss it. I mean, stay up. The early games now, but you want to stay up. Don't go to bed early when you see what happens in Madtown. Especially, you got to stay for the fourth quarter because they're all going to jump around.
Get jacked up.
Yeah. You don't have to jump yet. You get to stay there, and we'll talk to you here more momentarily. But first, updates from what's going on here this afternoon. Illinois, folks in Champaign, and a good one with Northwestern.